Just Passin' By. Well, this song is responsible for one of the strangest but coolest moments in my musical journey. It was a song I wrote over 30 years ago, and it came up out of the blue again, out of nowhere, all because an Ethan McIntyre's mum accidentally recorded a tiny clip of the song onto his baby video sometime back in the mid-90s. And he discovered it and uploaded it to the Lost Wave community. It happened to be a clip of the band I was in, Big Picture, and it was 3 seconds long, and it was probably the only time it was on the New Country Network, and she happened to press record at that very moment. So Ethan uploaded it to the Lost Wave community, and people were searching for me for 3 years and finally found me. And now my channel's grown, and it's inspired me to start creating content again. Just as I was feeling pretty deflated after my presence on YouTube was pretty much insignificant for almost 10 years. And I was feeling quite like giving up on it. So yeah, this song comes back into my life out of the blue, and thanks to you guys, gives me a new audience to share my ideas with. So crazy how the universe and the internet does this from time to time. Now, it's not like I went super viral or anything, but I was able to level up a bit, and I'm so grateful that some of you are asking for me to create again. So if you haven't subscribed, please click on that button, because knowing that people are interested in what I have to express really motivates me and it helps me to make good quality content, because making that is hard work, and it really helps when I see the audience grow. Okay, so let's travel back to 1993, and I'm just starting university in Halifax, Nova Scotia in Canada. It's a small but mighty city on the Atlantic coast of Canada. And I'm in the classical guitar degree program at the main university called Dalhousie. The band I'm in is called The Big Picture, and we've played several shows here and there in the local music scene, which is pretty much dominated by the grunge sound of the early 90s, if you remember, sparked by a little Seattle band called Nirvana. And practically every band in Halifax that's being propped up by the local scene has a sound that's inspired by some component of the DNA that spawned the Seattle grunge scene. So much so that this town became known as the Canadian Seattle. For us, there was one big problem. We sounded nothing at all like that. And even if we tried to, we would fail miserably, because as a writer, I understood nothing of where that Seattle sound came from. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain's writing. I find it absolutely brilliant. But my main influences for songwriting came from the likes of Paul Simon and The Police and Sting, and Genesis and Dire Straits, Kate Bush. So as a band in the Canadian Seattle, we really stood out, about as subtle as a clown at a funeral. And it wasn't until a couple of producers at CBC, the government station, kind of like NPR in the States or BBC in England, they took a leap of faith and asked us to be on a compilation album after some pretty consistent calls by our drummer Julian. And we recorded a song called Walking to Nowhere, and it made it on that recording. And it landed us the opportunity to record a whole album at CBC, which became the album you discovered. So the title track was a song called Just Passin' By. So at the time I was in second year university taking music degree, and classical guitar was the main thing I was doing. And one day I was in the lunch hall and I was standing at the counter, and a really pretty girl asked me where something was. And we got to talking, and she had come from Paris and didn't know much about the campus. So we ended up spending the rest of the day, I was showing her around the university, and then we kind of went on a impromptu date, I guess, talking and hanging out well into the night. I was pretty blown away, because that sort of thing absolutely never happened or happens to me. Anyway, so to make a long story short, my romance was short-lived, because she told me very nicely that she'd prefer to stay friends.
Oh, Ross, you're so great.
It's never gonna happen. What? You and Rachel. What Why not? Because you waited too long to make your move, and now you're in the friend zone.
Yep, the good old friend zone. to which I was disappointed at first, but also really fine with, because she turned out to be an incredible person and a long-term friend, and we were quite inseparable. But it really was a whirlwind time that made me feel all sorts of emotions. But really, in all honesty, I was okay with that, because I think writing this song really helped me sort out the thoughts about the whole situation. And so in the end, it's sort of a melancholy song of longing for someone, but it really has a happy and positive chord progression to it. Let me show you how I write certain chords to give the same complex feelings that I was having in my mind at the time and trying to get them into the song. So, using what we've learned so far in the series, and I'm going to be referencing some of the chord feelings. So if you haven't seen the previous lessons, go take a quick look. If you can, it'll help you understand what I'm describing. This song is quite a hybrid of many styles, and a lot of people give it the badge of being slightly a country song, and mostly that's because of the violin and the Jew's harp and the slide guitar on the remix version. But when I wrote it, it didn't have any of that. It did start with a picking pattern on the guitar that's common in folk and country music called Travis picking. The most recognizable Travis picking is from Simon and Garfunkel's hit The Boxer. Kind of like this, right? So I used to play this pattern a lot because my friends and I would go camping a lot, and having a guitar at a campfire was like an essential thing. And I was usually the one who knew tons of campfire songs, so this was a perfectly natural starting point for me. The song starts brightly in a major key, in the key of C major, with the 1 chord setting the tone, and then to the minor 6, A minor, and then to the 4 chord, F. So it's like this. With the lyrics, it's just the other day I was passing you by, thinking of the things that I knew were true. Just the other day was the time in my life when I thought the song that I sang was new. And that was the gist of the verse. As you can hear, the chords are actually a bit melancholy, with a lot of questioning from the 4 chord, right? And a lot of acceptance from the 1 chord, right? And the lyric states, you say you won't be lonely anymore. It was sort of something I was saying in my head because I was so blown away that this girl was actually spending the day with me. And being so stylish and exotic and being from Paris, it was just me dreaming and being hopelessly optimistic. And then the "but oh no" was the wake up to reality. And what I did was when I went, just the other day I was passing you by, A minor, minor 6, thinking of the things that I knew, the 4, were true, right? And then what I did was, you said you won't be lonely anymore, but oh no. And that was the wake up to reality, the oh no. And the chorus really was a cheeky mix of me writing a melody to chords and trying to make them fit the story of the emotions that I was feeling. And it was also a bit of evil villain, kind of I'll show them mixed in, because I purposefully made the bizarre choice to write the chorus in the time signature of 9/8. So time signatures are a basic framework of music. They determine how many beats will be in a bar of music. This gives musicians the basic boundaries of the rhythms that will be in the piece of music. It's almost like the dimensions of a room, and how many things fit or how much room to move within that space of the melody is determined by the dimensions of the room, of the walls, which is the time signature. And so when the top number of the time signature is an even number, things tend to feel stable and balanced. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4, 4. And when the top number of the time signature is an odd number, things feel wonky and imbalanced. Except for when it's the 3, it feels a bit more lilting and swaying. It's still imbalanced, but it kind of comes up. So if you have like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's 3, 4, and it feels a bit balanced, but it sort of makes you sway back and forth. I have another song in another episode coming to explain that to you. But when the top number is a 5 or a 7 or a 9 or 11, the rhythm always feels imbalanced and tricky. But it can also feel exciting, like a roller coaster. So I wanted to purposefully make the rhythm reset every so often. And that's what happens with time signatures. You sort of count from, say, 1 to 9, and then because it feels more natural to count to 8, which is a multiple of 4. So if you have a 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, it's much more consistent. But if you were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, that's 9, 8. So that's 8 at the bottom, which means eighth notes, 9, 8. And it feels like it's sort of resetting every time, because I wanted to represent me looking at my watch and shaking it to see if it was working. That was one of the purpose of the 9/8 choice, to make it seem like I'd be waiting forever and always checking my watch to see if she would change her mind. So I was just being hopelessly hopeful. And I used the lyric "so long" to have a dual meaning. One to mean that I was waiting so long, but also the other meaning like "so long, bye-bye." And chord-wise, this chorus cycles between the 4 and the 5 chord. Like I did in the episode for Fleetwood Mac Dreams, it served the same purpose of a hypnotic question and assurance. So the change of key actually represents the frustration that I was kind of feeling. I wanted to change it up and go, oh, I'm just waiting so long, I hope it's going to change. So it was sort of like the turmoil that was happening in my head. And it makes the sentiment of waiting so long it makes it feel me even more intense. So the fact that it cycles back and forth between the 4 and the 5 chords, and the key change, or the modulation, as it's called in music, it represented the unresolved nature of the situation I was dealing with in my mind. So it's like... So that's that weird, wonky feeling. So long, 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 so long. So you see, it's kind of has this melancholy feel. It's cyclic, it's repeating. I'm looking at my watch. When is this going to happen? Is this going to change? You see, even though me and this girl became close, inseparable friends, I always thought she was just a beautiful, fantastic person. And I think I longed for more for quite a while before I accepted that it would never transpire. So the chorus just had to say the same thing. It had to represent how I felt. And the evil Lex Luthor villain variable was not so much for her at all, but to release some frustration in my mind. And I really thought it would be crazy to actually write a chorus in a wacko time signature just to see people try and dance to it at our shows. And it was really entertaining to watch people stumble every time the bar of 9/8 would reach the bar line and start over. It's really impossible to dance to. And I've, truth be told, always found dancing something bizarre and embarrassing. And there's nothing wrong with it. People love it, but it was just me being unapologetically mean. I think the only time I ever danced without making a mockery of it was at my wedding, at our first dance with my wife Allison. Otherwise, you usually won't catch me dead dancing. Unless you count grooving to music on stage, like if you call that dancing. Anyway, I digress. So, the bridge and the other sections of this song continue to tell the story. I tell myself that I was wrong when I was right. I found it hard to convince myself, so I'm wondering why. was just passing by. So as you can see, this song has quite a melancholic approach to the songwriting. But with the bright rhythms and playing by the band, it became quite catchy. So if you count it, it's got the bars of 9 that make the chorus sound really tricky and wonky and lopsided, and it keeps resetting, right? So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, of course, when I put in the guitar line, right, it ends up becoming even more complicated sounding. And then my brother Shahab's amazing bass line that was super hard to play made it even more crazy. So I can't play that bass line at the same time here, but the guitar line actually ended up sounding really cool because it gave it a sort of jubilant feel, but it also added to the wonkiness of the chorus, like this. And so on, right? So it became quite catchy, and it ended up being a single, which blew my mind because I never thought a song with a chorus in 9/8 would ever be chosen as a single, but it was. And a video was made, and you found it, and I'm so glad you did, because here we are, even if we waited so long. I'll see you next time. Thank you.